they've been involved in something of grave sin, because that invites the demon to attach himself. It's like pornography. A person views that, gets involved in that, then all of a sudden they can't quite turn it off. Okay. Yeah. And then it's really fascinating. Then they go to confession, they find it much easier to say. It's not as compelling. I definitely believe with pornography, with some drugs, with some music, that there are demons associated with that. When I went to the International Exorcist Conference in Rome one time, they had a few cases of people who had been part of heavy metal and part of the drug cartel, who admitted that they would bring in Satanists to curse their music and the drugs to make it more addictive. So not only is a person dealing with a chemical dependency or music, but there's now actually a demon associated. I had a guy in prison who all tatted up. He showed up. I always laugh when they're all tatted up and they're just little old Catholic boys. Like that guy. How does this be? Okay, all Catholic and all tatted up. Okay. And he looked like a big biker, And so we're talking, and he's coming to mass regularly, and he's coming to confession real regularly. And finally, one day we're talking, and he says to me, Father, I don't sleep real well. I have a lot of problems with my sleep. I said, really? He goes, yeah, it wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning all the time. A demonic hour.
I was going to say, is there any truth to that?
Because Jesus dies at 3 o'clock during the day. The demon has claimed an hour of its own. So he likes to do a lot of stuff at that time. Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes I wake up at night and like 3 in the morning, have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, don't look at the clock.
But let me finish this story. Then we'll go on. And so I said to him, okay, and you've gone to confession lots of times to me. And I go, but let's be honest. Is there anything you've never really confessed that's on your soul? Because that's where evil will get his claws into you. And he takes a deep breath. And he finally kind of admits to me, he turns this, I've tried to kill myself a couple times. You can see that slash marks. Well, that's a serious sin. Try, kill God's creation. I go, and you've never confessed that all these years? He goes, yeah. So you're ready to ask forgiveness for that? Yeah. Okay, so I go through confession. Comes back a few days later, says, I sleep like a baby now. Don't be keeping stuff buried in there. If we live a good moral life, it's very, very rare that those people I see knocking on my door saying, I think I got a serious spiritual problem.
It's not like you're going to get attacked by a demon walking down the street if you have your house somewhat in order.
My best analogy is when you look at your hand and your skin, it's a tremendous block to infection and disease.
Yeah.
The littlest scratch, though, the littlest cut, if you don't take care of it, can be infested and become much worse really fast. So watch that. Wait, watch. Well, it's just a splinter. Okay, no, it's a splinter. Now it's a little red. Now it's a little pussy. Okay, I need the peroxide. Right. I need to treat this. Okay.
Yeah.
Spiritually, if we're living a life of grace, most of that stuff bounces off of us. Even people who want to send evil against us.
Sure.
If we're living a good life of grace, for the most part, that is not going to cling to us. Now, if we're living in sin, now we've got a serious cut here. And they're sending evil, and evil's going to say, I got a hook. I know exactly where to plant that in that person. So if I'm violating commandments, if I'm not living according to God's law.
And that would go back to Satan almost knowing yourself better than you do in terms of his intelligence and being able to know.
He's very, very bright. And here's the thing that people don't understand. It's if I put you in a ring with an opponent who never tires, who never ages, who does not have to stop to eat or drink, how long do you last?
It's hard to wrap your head around that.
Seconds.
Yeah.
Seconds. But if you never step into the ring with your angel, with the saints, in a life of grace, then you're setting yourself up to lose the battle. If you have the armor of God on, there's not much you can do to you. Yeah, he can tempt you. He can, yell at you, but just like, hey, you can't get your claw into me. I haven't given you permission. Free will is everything with them. We have to give them permission for this. And when we sin, we're giving them permission.
Okay, so it's through action, not just literally calling it if you're a Satanist or something.
Well, it's free will, right?
But it comes in degrees. How deeply are we going to go into this? Okay. Yeah, okay, I sin. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, but now it's habitual sin. Right. Now it's serious voluntary sin. Just like, I had a guy in prison one time. I'd go through there and I bless people. And holy water is really powerful. I was blessing people and the guy couldn't see me, okay? Mm-hmm. And he said, all of a sudden, these little sprinkles come and one hit me and I don't know what you hit me with, but boy, something happened to me. Holy water is incredibly powerful.
Is there any difference between holy water from like Lourdes and then something that a priest blesses? We used to have Lourdes holy water in my house, and it was just like, it felt good.
I didn't even use it. I just kept it in. I think we used it a little bit.
Bottle, yeah. I would sometimes bless yourself or something.
I use water from Lourdes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've got people who've gone pretty back. I'll put it on the table, and when people get tired, say, "Oh, you want a drink? Have a drink." Because if they're possessed, it's going to come right back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, see, we test people. We just don't take their word. Oh, I'm possessed. Yeah, right. Like a doctor taking a self-diagnosis, okay? So I have regular water. I have holy water. I have Lourdes water. And they don't know what it is, but I know what it is. They come to drink it. Oh, you're possessed? Yeah, really bad? Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't think so. You're just guzzling that down like no tomorrow. I can tell you, if you be possessed, that's not going to work. All right. So there are things we do to differentiate psychological illness from actually a spiritual illness that they would never know. There's no way they would know. A demon in them would absolutely know.
Is there one that sticks out to you that you did or someone else did where you were just like,
scared? Not scared, but
it's your stage of your career in that sense. It's like you've probably seen a lot. So maybe.
Well, we go through and we bless the room. Mm-hmm. And there's an old custom that Catholics don't use much anymore, but still on the books, and most priests don't even know is we have an old custom in the church about blessing salt and using it to cook with. Mm-hmm. It's exorcised salt. You can use it like holy water to sprinkle in your house and room. Well, we put it around in the chapel before people come to pray, and we sprinkle a few grains on the chair where they go to sit. People will come in and stop and actually clean the chair before they sit down. And you couldn't see it. It's so small. But they know it's there, and it's not going to be comfortable for them.
Now, how do you get, I'm sure there's varying degrees, and maybe that gets us in kind of to the stages of possession. How do, not everybody comes in voluntary, or does it have to be voluntary?
It's like a relationship. If you think of possession like a relationship, he wants to get you more and more agreeing to letting him in. The more deeply he's embedded in you, the more deeply you're going to react to something holy. And here people can have problems for stuff they didn't do. What happens first time you take your kid to church in the old days? It's day of baptism, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
And you as mom and dad, in his name, because he has spiritual authority over him, ask him to be baptized, to enter into God's family. Mm-hmm. Well, there are people who work the other side of the street who pledge their children to the evil one.
Do they really?
I mean, did any
this
idea
is serious. This is serious. What serious satanic people do this? Satan doesn't just want them; they want a whole family line. And so Satan says, "Well, you want to serve me? Well, I want you, but I want you to promise me your kids." So in the baptism ritual, if you listen very carefully, there's an exorcism. Because when people used to bring children to the church, we never knew where their parents or grandparents' heart was spiritually, because they could have promised their children or their grandchildren in service of the evil one. And so you want to clean that all out so that God says, yeah, if anybody has claims on you, we're going to break that claim right now, because you wash every cup before you put something good in it, right? Mm-hmm. You always clean things first, and then you fill them.
Mm.
And in the ancient world, they worship many different gods.
Mm-hmm. True.
And we have to clean that all out. And today, it's not that different.
Right.
Worship God of money, sex, power, you name it, drugs. And so some people don't see them, but those really are gods because we have made them more important than God himself in their lives. I had a case not too long, showed up my doorstep. Actually, the kid called. Early teens, trying to make their first communion late in life. And he says, well, I go to prayer sessions at different houses and I like fall down. I like fall asleep. We kind of understand that in the Catholic world, like slaying in the spirit. There's where the Holy Spirit can so overwhelm you that you just feel at peace and you just really just faint. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing with this person was they never felt peaceful though.
Going back to trusting your gut in terms of seeing a ghost too and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Just
what
like
do you feel?
Their sense of it. Mm-hmm. Sense of being in God's presence is very peaceful, very good. You got nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
So I said, oh, come on over, bring your mom, let's talk. So they come over. Mom's trying to tell me, well, he's really holy kid. That's why, he has these mystical experiences.
I never had any of those when I was a kid.
Yeah. Haven't met too many of those.
Yeah.
So we talk a little bit, and I don't get 3 lines into the Our Father, and the kid goes, on the couch. Not good. So after a few minutes, he wakes up, but now he's like paralyzed from his waist down. He can't walk. So we have to pick him up, put him in a car. Mom takes him to the emergency room, gets him all checked out. They can't find anything.
Wow.
A few hours later, he's able to walk. So then a week later, he calls me and wants me to see me again. Now, this is like ringing all kinds of bells in my head, okay? Because he's a minor, because mom's there, because, this Catholic Church is really, really touchy about minors right now, okay?
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Yeah, so we got all our radar up. Okay. So mom comes and she's talking to me, and then she says, yeah, there seems to be a lot of strife in the family. It's a big family. I want to say there's like 6, 7, 8 kids. And this one's the youngest. And, whenever my dad comes to visit, it seems to get worse. So sometimes I meet with people and it can take weeks, if not months, to really figure out what's going on. Again, I'm not into 1 or 2 lines in the Our Father. We got serious stuff here. So a few weeks later, Grandpa's there, Mom's there, and the kid's there. I never quite understood why Grandpa came along on this. So we're talking about stuff and about the kid and everything. And Grandpa says, I'm powerful.
What?
You said I'm powerful?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
And then all of a sudden it just comes to me and I go, you're a curandero, Hispanic for witch doctor. You serve the evil one.
You said this day?
You're a curandero. He gets really quiet. And I go, what you do is doing this to her. Doesn't back up, doesn't say no, doesn't. And I look at her and I say, he's made some promises to his family line, and she's about to make her first communion.
Ooh.
And he doesn't like it. So every time she goes to a prayer thing,
how did that resolve?
They didn't come back.
Oh, they didn't come back? Oh, man.
Because I'm pretty sure the daughter wasn't going to tell her dad, don't come, don't be doing this stuff that affects our family. Because she even admitted when he came to visit, the tension and the other dynamic in the house went nuts with her older kids. So then mom has to decide between her allegiance to her dad and her daughter or her son and the rest of the family. This is where stuff happens spiritually in the family, and people don't realize, so auntie or grandfather or uncle was, into that stuff.
So
we also can get that same kind of stuff from people involved in Masonic lodges.
What is
that?
I don't know what that is either.
The Masons.
Oh.
People think they're like Quadas and Elks and stuff like that. Church has forbidden involvement with them. There's like 33 levels in Masonic lodges. After about the halfway mark, they start making serious pledges against Catholicism.
Oh, really? Oh. Mm-hmm. Well, it's good we don't know that. I mean,
I know, but you have people, men, whose grandfather was really involved in Masonic Lodge, who promised his offspring to be faithful to the worship of some of the demons in Masonic lodges, so that when the third generation, he doesn't renew his Masonic affiliation, there's a curse that falls on him that the grandfather placed, saying that if my descendants do not renew them, and because of this, I'm going to give you some benefits, power, authority, money, blah, blah. But that does happen. That does happen in families who have Masonic, not just on the father's line, but on the mother's line.
So there sounds like it's possibly easier to break than, say, like a possession or something that's latched on.
It is, because it was done by somebody else on you. It wasn't something you did to yourself. You initiated yourself. Okay. You've given more authority to that. They've also, shall we say, seminaries are paying more attention than they used to. That right around